listeners. I'm your host Jayasree, and you're listening to TALRadio, powered by Touch a Life Foundation. Welcome to Leadership for Life with Kyra Cavanaugh, President of 15B Wellbeing, a company dedicated towards creating learning experiences for leading corporations, workplaces, teams, groups, and individuals. Because they believe that no one should sacrifice well being for performance. In today's interview, we are going to talk about being present. Okay, so what is being present? We have loads of things that keep going on in our mind every single second. And what's more important is to be present at this very moment and to be able to absorb things that are happening around at this particular moment. And I wouldn't say react, but how do you put that? Act appropriately as per how you're feeling at that particular moment. So it's important that you be present there, as in you're going through something right now and then you have something else on your mind. Okay, that's not going to work. And a lot of people don't really realize it until they encounter a real bad consequence. So, why wait until then? Let's learn beforehand and let's make sure we get it practiced and also perfect this technique of being present in this very moment. Without any delay, let's welcome Kyra onto our show. Hello, Kyra. Welcome back on Tal Radio.
Thank you so much. Hello, Jayasree. Hello, everyone. It's wonderful to be with you today. I'm excited about this topic.
Same here, same here. And I love the fact that we are picking topics that are the core of humanity, the core of how somebody should live their day-to-day life. And though we are kind of connecting this with the leadership, because everybody is a leader in their own way, as we spoke multiple times in our previous episodes. I really love this, that we are talking about the core values on how you have to build your life. And yes, I am equally excited to learn more about the techniques of being present now.
Thank you. I'm
Wonderful.
excited to get into it. It'll be fun.
Yeah. So my very first question, and a very basic one. How do you define being present now?
Well, let's do a little exercise together. So, wherever you are, if you hear my voice, I'm going to invite you to just begin to be aware of your breath. So you don't have to change your breath. Just become aware of whether you're breathing in your chest. Maybe you could drop it down so that your belly expands and contracts while you breathe. Maybe you're noticing that you're not really breathing. Or maybe the pace of your breath is very fast or very slow. So just the simple exercise of becoming aware of your breath, do you notice what's happening with your brain? As you're focused on your breath, are you thinking about your shopping list? Are you thinking about the argument you just had with someone yesterday? Nope, you're just focused on your breath. That's what it means to be present. It means to become aware of our senses. What do you smell in this moment? What do you taste? How do the clothes feel on your body? How does the air feel in the room or the space that you're in? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? So, when we're aware of our senses, when we're aware of our thoughts, what am I thinking? How am I judging or analyzing this situation? What am I telling myself? That's being present. And then lastly, emotions. How am I feeling in this moment? What's going on for me emotionally? How am I reacting or responding? Are you aware of what you're feeling, or have you shut that off? So we define being present as having a lack of distraction and being aware of being in this moment, being alive right now.
Beautifully said. And I can totally feel what you asked us to experience at this moment. And it sure is different. I can
It
definitely say that.
is.
Awesome. So, having understood this, we have a lot of anxiousness, I should say, probably about the future or the decisions that may happen or be taken a minute after this moment, or an hour later or so. We have loads of things that keep running in our head. So how can we balance the need to plan for the future while staying engaged in the present moment?
It's a great question. I think being present is to notice how often you are thinking about the future. We use that phrase, getting ahead of ourselves. What does that mean? Getting ahead of this present moment. Some of you may also spend a lot of time in the past, excuse me, being nostalgic, having fond memories, being fixated on an event that happened that maybe really hurt you. So when we think about our consciousness, you can ask yourself, do I often live in the past? Are my thoughts very much backwards looking? Or as you suggested, Jayasree, like we're really focused on the future, always planning, always preparing, always doing to be ready for what comes next. So when you become aware of whether you tend to live in the past or you tend to live in the future, that also gives you an opportunity and perspective. Oh, I'm thinking about the future again. So when we become aware of it, we can train ourselves, and we'll talk about this, we can train ourselves to be present. Now, sometimes we want to be in the future or we want to be in the past because being in this moment may feel really uncomfortable. If you're in pain, you may want to dissociate yourself from the pain. So we think about something else. We fixate on the past or the future. You may be in a very difficult relationship. You may not enjoy your job. You may have very strong feelings or big judgments about what's going on in the world right now. And so it can feel painful for some of us to live in the present. So what does it look like when we're not living in the present? We're easily distracted. You may spend a lot of time looking at other people's lives. You may spend a lot of time planning for a vacation or looking for your dream home or shopping, right? Or using substances to keep you out of having to think and feel and sense what is currently going on. So when you become aware of how much you get caught up in the distraction, you might talk too much. You may just talk a lot because silence is uncomfortable. Because being in this present moment with your thoughts, feelings, and sensations is too much. So there's no judgment here, but I wanted to share how many different ways you can become aware of how you feel about being present. And then we can talk about how you can really use those clues then to create a practice for yourself of being fully present.
Wonderful again. Having understood about the focus here, another thing that mostly disturbs is obviously disturbs as in disturbances. So the distractions that you encounter in this process. So how can we manage these distractions to maintain that focus? Could you give us some tips that we can literally follow word to word?
Sure, sure. So being present, being willing to have the experience emotionally, rationally, and sensationally in your body, being willing to pay attention to those things then helps us start to identify how do I bring myself back. So we'll start with focus. If I'm working, okay, so I work for a living, I'm sitting in front of my computer, and what I'm doing, my work, I notice I'm starting to feel bored. So I start thinking about, well, what am I going to have for lunch? And then I think, well, my lunch is sitting in the refrigerator. Well, I could go get it. Now am I being focused? No. I've gone off on this whole tangent about what I'm going to have for lunch. What time is it? Is it okay for me to eat now? What if I eat now and that means I'm going to be hungry earlier than I get home from the office, right? I've just created this whole entire scenario and I'm no longer focused on work. So one thing you can do is just notice. Train yourself to notice. When you want to click open another window and check on whether you can make reservations for the restaurant when your friend's coming into town next week, or you start thinking, well, maybe I should just check in with my mom while you're working. Train yourself to just notice and follow the number of times you want to veer away from the thing that you're working on. So awareness is key. Once you become aware that you're doing it, now you can create some strategies. So one strategy is to set an alarm to say, I'm going to reward myself with being present, sitting with the boredom in my example. I'm going to set an alarm for 20 minutes or a half an hour or an hour, and then I'm going to give myself a break. And I'm going to go take care of that thing. I'm going to go make my dinner reservation, or I'm going to go get my lunch. And so you create a time-bound period within which you're going to focus. It helps calm the nervous system. It can help you, if you start thinking about it again, remind yourself you set an alarm. So you're creating these very small focus periods and then being aware of when you're distracted and coming back to it. Another thing you can do is just keep a list of all of the things that are popping up about the future. In your example, Jayasree, just keep a list. Notes app on your phone, piece of paper, old school. Just keep a list of all of the things that your brain keeps bringing up to you so that you don't have to keep giving it attention. You know that you've written it down, so it's there. You don't need to look at it. You can come back to focus. And those are some ways to train the brain. One of the things you can do is if you're really feeling a lot of emotion, and maybe that emotion, I know this happens with me, I might start to really question my confidence, or I might try to talk myself out of doing the thing that I know I need to do. And I've learned that sometimes that's because emotionally it feels uncomfortable. So I might need to call someone, and I don't know if I might be interrupting them. And I've realized I'm resisting. I don't want to be in this present moment. I might feel distracted or want to go do other things because I don't want to deal with this discomfort in my heart. The feelings are uncomfortable enough that you may not want to stay focused. You may not want to do the thing that you've committed to yourself that you're going to do. And in that case, get up, move out of physically the environment that you're in the moment, and just give yourself a moment to feel the feels, feel the feeling. So for me, that might mean I just need to take a walk for 5 minutes to kind of get some fresh air and some sunshine, clear the air, feel some different sensations, and then come back and focus. It may also mean that I need to, in the middle of my workday, just do a little journaling. Or I might need to listen to a song, like a really engaging, exciting, inspiring song that then helps me come back into feeling like energetically I'm ready. Or sometimes I'll just step away and have a good cry. I'll step away from my workstation and I'll just go have a cry. And then I can be fully present in feeling the moment and then identify for myself or for yourself, what could I do right now to help myself feel valuable, to help myself feel like I'm important and that these difficult feelings are okay. Maybe there's a way to self-soothe. Maybe there's a way to tell yourself, you're doing a good job. You are strong. You are valuable. And so it's okay. You can try this difficult thing. So notice thoughts, feelings, sensations in your body that are pulling you away from the task at hand. Honor, recognize them, and then come back and notice the difference. Notice the difference when you start to be aware and use some of these strategies. Hopefully, it'll help you focus more.
Wonderful. It gives a very nice, crisp set of things to do so that we maintain our focus when getting distracted. I have kind of framed a similar kind of question where I wanted to actually ask you about the techniques to, bring yourself back to the present moment when your mind starts to, wander in negative directions. So, how can you actually curb that urge of the negativity that's being spread in your thoughts for multiple reasons, for any reason possible? So, is there a way to get yourself back from that as well?
Yes, yes. And it has to do with tuning in. So there are two approaches I'm going to suggest to you. One is to come back to your breath. So again, anytime we encounter difficulty, anytime we are trying to escape this present moment, give yourself the opportunity to just breathe and begin to notice what it feels like in your body right now. Ooh, it feels like I want to run. Or it feels like I want to go eat something, even though I'm not hungry. It feels like I'm kind of nauseous. Ooh, it feels like my throat is closing and my chest feels tight. So by breathing and taking a moment, you can honor that sensation. And when you notice those sensations, then you can tend to the sensation. Then when you're tending to the sensation, you're being fully present. So oftentimes we train ourselves, or we've been trained from the time we're children, to ignore the signs that make us want to veer away from being fully present. We're trained in coping strategies to stay away from the negativity. So the opportunity is to register in your awareness the negativity, the difficulty, the pain, the emotion, the judgment or critical way that your brain is reacting, to come back into it and to recognize that those thoughts, feelings, and sensations are simply energy. Quantum physicists have proven this to us, and many of our ancient traditions already knew, long before scientists proved it, that those thoughts are just energy, and we can give them outsized significance when we try to avoid them. So instead, just see those thoughts, come back into your awareness, breath, feel the negativity, and then imagine those negative thoughts are like clouds that just are moving through the sky. They're just thoughts, it's just energy. And it doesn't necessarily mean it reflects the truth of the situation. So just like you're not going to judge the shape of the cloud, you're not going to judge how long the cloud is sitting there, you're not going to judge the wind as it moves the clouds, we can train ourselves to just see the difficult thoughts and let them pass. Similarly, emotion. Isn't it interesting? You can look with a little bit of detachment as well. Wow, isn't it interesting that that person said that to me? And I'm really feeling, fill in the blank. Where does that feeling sit in your body? Breathe into it, bringing curiosity and calm, confidence into the exploration of that emotion. Remembering the emotion does not define you. It's just energy that will move through you. So we relax our body, we bring ourselves into a place of confident, calm, and we get curious. Wow. Huh. And then you can keep noticing how long you feel that feeling. It may last you days. With a bit of detachment and not giving it more than it needs, it will pass. And then sensations, so frequently difficult sensations in the body, we want to pull away, detach, disengage, or we become that pain. It becomes our identity. So again, there's an opportunity to pull yourself up, crown pulls to the sky, shoulders relax, and scan your body, noticing the difficulty, noticing the negativity. Notice how it feels in your body, and then breathe in through the nose, bringing a smile to your face to calm the nervous system. And exhale and imagine you're breathing out the sensation like a cloud of smoke out your mouth. Good. Breathing in. Getting curious about that sensation and imagine it just energy that as you blow through and breathe in, smiling that you can break it up. That pain in your shoulder, just breathe in. And exhale it out, releasing it. And the more you bring that confident, present mind into the sensation, with practice, you'll learn that it will release, just like the clouds in the sky. And the second approach that you could take is really just to move in relation with the mind. So a simple example would be just imagine raising your arms up toward the sky in whatever way that feels right. And then when your mind starts to wander, stop your body. And then breathe in. Ask your mind to connect with the movement and continue. You can do this while you're eating. Take a bite. You start thinking about tomorrow. Stop. Put the bite back down. Brain, I would like to eat in connection, in unison with you. Can we work together? Pick up the utensil again. Put the bread to your mouth or the food to your mouth. My mind wandered off. We set it back down. The more we train the brain to be in union with the movement, in union, fully present with the emotion or the sensation or the steps that you're taking, the more that we train the brain that we're safe and that it's okay to be fully present. The more we work at it, the more relaxed we become, the more comfortable we get with that negativity, the more confident we are in realizing that this too shall pass.
Wow. It was so crystal clear with the way you have taken us through the exercise. I have been doing it along with you to understand, the exact essence of what you're trying to explain. And I actually feel a lot lighter in terms of thoughts because when we sit for an interview in a situation like this, usually uh, I listen to your answer, I try to relate to the answer, but at the back of my mind, uh, the thoughts keep going off to the next one, to the next question. How am I going to connect this answer to the next question? And how am I going to ask that? But what I realized is I'm actually missing out on the most part of your answer here to realize what you're actually saying in the present.
Yes, it's so true. This happens all the time. Thank you so much for sharing that. It happens to so many of us. How many of you listening will be in a conversation or an argument? This is really when you can feel it. And the person's trying to explain themselves, and what we're working on is the next thing we're going to say, right? So thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah.
Definitely. I really wanted to say it out because that's exactly happening to me. So I completely related to the exercise that you gave and what where I am missing out on the present moment. So thank you for the exercise, and I'm glad I realized it. So I have one last question for you, Kira. Until now, we have spoken about as a person ourselves, as in how we can be aware of this particular moment we are in, and things that involve only us, like only I, in this situation. But now, when you have multiple people in the situation, when as you just mentioned, when there's an argument or when there's a discussion or anything of that sort, What role does active listening play in being present? Because we have been listening a lot about this. You need to listen actively before you respond. You shouldn't react, or the reaction and the response are two separate things. They have two different identities. So we have been speaking about it multiple times on multiple forums. A lot of people have been talking about it. But again, when you have to stay in focus with yourself, when you have to be in the present, in the moment, what role does this active listening play? And I also want you to explain on how we can cultivate this particular skill.
This is incredible. Incredible question. So, why do we? I love how you put that the response, the reaction, what we say, how we feel, those things are separate. How often do you just feel so strongly about something you don't even want to listen? You just have the courage of your conviction. You know you're right. You're going to put it out there. This person shouldn't be wasting their time or their words, right? And we can all get so carried away in what the emotion is creating in us, this discomfort, this just like you can sort of feel it crawling up your spine. Stop talking. I just have to tell you. And even in situations where we know that our behavior, we've been trained to curb our behavior or to curb that reaction, we can still feel ourselves seething inside while we smile and say something appropriate, right? So this brings up such an important opportunity for us to just sit or stand in all of it. In all of it, notice the emotion, notice the defensiveness, notice the tone of your voice, notice the speed of your words, notice what's happening in your body. Like if you're watching me on video, like literally, I can feel it crawling up my back, right? So we all have different reactions when we are listening. So the opportunity is to notice, to become aware of every aspect of what it feels like to be you in this moment. Now, I've given you some examples that'll make your skin crawl and you might want to yell at somebody. But what about when someone is telling you their story of tragedy or their story of suffering? Can you sit in it? Without nodding, without smiling, without reaching for them, without holding them, can you be present? Can you witness their emotion, their sensation, their thoughts without fixing, without speaking? Can you sit in your space and witness them sitting in theirs? When you can practice that, it doesn't mean the sensation, thoughts, and feelings aren't there. They're there. You may start to cry. You may feel so much compassion. But in that moment, can you be fully present, aware of the internal world, thoughts, sensations, and feelings that you're having, breathing, bringing your energy down below the waist, remembering you're this beautiful big old tree with roots that has choice. When we can slow ourselves down, even with a breath or two, and recognize your inner world is not the other person's problem, it's yours. Now I can be fully present. I can be calm. I can listen. And then I have choice. We've talked about that before. I can make a choice as to how I'm going to react. I can ask you, what do you need? And I can realize this whole world can be going on inside of me while I am fully present, not tending to those conditions in me, but listening. Recognizing when my brain wanders off, recognizing when it physically hurts to listen to you, owning that and being here anyway. When we're willing to sit in our stuff and still be there for the other person, that is presence. And it's absolutely one of the very best gifts that you can give another person. It just takes practice.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing this beautiful example. It might have resonated with a lot of people out there. It did to me as well. So I'm pretty sure that me, along with all our listeners, are going to definitely practice your lesson today, because I totally feel each of our episode is a therapy session. Each of our episode is a learning uh, lesson, and I'm really glad we are talking about topics like this that can help us in in every single situation, in a that happens in a particular day, in any on any given day for that matter. So I'm really thankful for your experience and expertise and your lessons today. Thank you so much, Kira. It was, as usual, wonderful talking to you today as well. And I'm really glad we shared this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jayasree. I am very, very grateful that we had this time together, and I wish everybody to have a beautiful, beautiful day.
Thank you. So that was Kyra Cavanaugh for all of you today, and you're listening to TALRadio, powered by Touch a Life Foundation. This is your host, Jayasree, signing off for today. Stay tuned and keep learning.